Coming to you from sunny Orlando, Florida, welcome to the Paperstac Podcast, where we cover current topics in the note industry, give you tactics for your note business, and talk with industry leaders to make you a better note investor. And now, your hosts, Brett Berkey and Rick Allen.
All right, welcome back to another Paperstac Podcast. Rick Allen, Brett Berkey here. It's been a while. Not that long, because we just recorded one that you probably just saw last week. We record them in bulk sometimes. So we've got some new stuff we want to talk about with you today. Stuff that came from Brett sat down and with some newer investors who are investing in notes. Smart people, doctors and stuff along, really educated people who are asking some questions that sometimes when you're in the business, you're like, oh, that's very basic. I understand that. And then you realize they don't. Yeah. And so we're going to put some information out to help. So maybe some of the more basic questions. So what do you got?
Explaining all about cash on cash returns and understanding, do you call it CAC, the instrument, the acronym, or
It's some people call it CAC, cash on cash return, yield, cash yield.
So
but it's different from IRR.
Right. So maybe we can explain the differences between those two, because the way that I was trying to explain it, I was like, I think I did it right, but I was like, Rick will know way better. And so
it's the one thing is it's a little bit different when you look at it between real estate investing and mortgage note investing. Because real estate investing, you kind of put your money out there and it's an asset that arguably is probably appreciating or at least holding its value. And you're getting, if it's a rental, you're getting monthly income off of it. And that's sort of your cash on cash return. So if you put out $100,000 and you make $10,000 annually, you've got annual 10%. Yeah, 10%, super easy. You want to look at in real estate notes, when you're getting in a payment, you're not getting in just investment dollars. You're getting back your principal along with it. So you want to kind of take into account, and you'll see this part of the return is from my principal and this part is the interest. And so you can, if you make that jump from real estate investing to note investing on passive stuff, you got to understand that. And there's calculators out there, which we talked about in the last episode, that will kind of tell you what your yield is. And that's including your principal you're coming back in, but what you're actually making on that in interest throughout the life of the loan. And it's good. But one thing to know about investing in notes is arguably every time they make a successful payment, that loan loses just a little bit of value. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're catching a loan and you're buying something at the front end, which is right when they originated it,
right,
it's not losing as much.
Right.
But if you catch something in the back end, you're losing more value.
Right. I could see that.
And the reason is because mortgage loans are typically front end loaded. Mm-hmm. If it's a fully amortized loan, they're front end loaded with interest.
Right.
So you may make $1,000 payment and $7 of it on your first one, or $12 or whatever that number is, goes towards principal, and the rest of it goes towards.
I know, that's heartbreaking owning a house. You look at it and you're like, golly.
Well, that's why they tell you if you can make 2 payments a month.
Well, I'm going to do the method of taking my HELOC, using the simple interest, big chunk, and then pay it back, because it's interest only on the HELOC. So yeah, it makes more sense to beat that amortization schedule.
Yeah, that's how you beat the schedule. So, But the easiest way to do it is take the amount of money that you've made divided by the amount of money that's invested. That's your cash on cash return. Now, it doesn't take into account cash on cash. Doesn't take into account any debt payments you have.
Debt payments.
So if you borrowed money.
Okay, so if I take, let's just say I have the HELOC and I bought a note for $20,000 and I'm getting principal interest back of I don't know, $200 a month, something like that. My cash on cash would have to take out what I was going to pay back.
Right. And some people, what some people will do is they just will look at look, I'm applying everything I'm taking back in just to recovering my principal.
Right.
Right.
Which is smart, right?
Yeah. Recover all my principal, and maybe over the course of 3 or 4 years, you've recovered everything, and you turn around and you sell it for close to what you paid for, maybe 5% or 10% less, well, then all that can be your gravy. So there's a couple different ways that you can kind of skin the cat to come up with your actual numbers there. But it's the easiest way to do it is cash on cash. And some people are like, well, what's a good cash on cash return?
What is a good cash on cash?
You got to go look and see the last episode. What's your baseline? You got to figure that out.
Okay.
So you got to figure out, look, this is what I'm trying to target.
Right.
So the difference in IRR, there's a lot of differences. It's not something we can cover in just one, but there's vast differences between IRR and cash on cash return. You need to look at it and know the difference between the two of them. That's fairly technical that I can't really explain right now.
Which would you look at as more important?
I look at the internal rate of return because it starts. If I'm looking at real estate, it's just a lot of IRR. It can tie into notes if you kind of do it the way I was talking about, where you recover all your capital and you turn around and you resell it. Or there's other things that will affect your IRR. And your cash on cash. They work together. But the one of them is if you're like taking in money, like maybe hardest hit fund, or you're getting some sort of government funds in there, the length of time is something that affects it.
How fast you recapitalize?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, so that would be your internal rate of return.
Yeah. It plays a part into it. Maybe you bought something for $1 million and you took in another $1 million in payments, and then you turned around and you sold it for 2.5 times your multiple of what you paid for it. Like, there's a lot of different factors there that can help with the IRR. The length of time you've had it, money in, money out. It's a different calculation. It's more. There's more math involved than just simple cash on cash. Is pretty simple, pretty easy. If I paid this and I made this, and it's still got this much value.
That's interesting. And there are calculators that have it. The T whatever.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
The 10BII.
10BII.
Let me look. 10BII.
10BII. Cool. All right. Well, I guess that kind of breaks down a little bit what cash on cash is and the importance of it. And
is that how you explained it?
Yeah, pretty much.
There you go. Look at you. You could be teaching. I'm going to ask you questions.
No. Yeah. But all right. Well, thanks for watching this episode of the Paperstac Podcast. Of course, if you have your own question that you want answered by Rick, just let us know. Reach out to support at hello@Paperstac. Or just leave a comment below, and we do read them, we do answer them, and we do want to help. So that's that. If you didn't know, we have an entire academy. So if you really want to dig in deep to note investing, there's an entire academy that we put out. It is beefy, lengthy, very in depth. We offer discounts in there for partners. It's all kinds of stuff. It's really, really, really big, built out over time. It took us what?
Year.
It took a long time. We haven't marketed it much yet, but we need to. So
we will.
That's that, and we'll see you on the next episode. See you.